Hello and welcome to Wingin It. And once more you join us for another tournament game here. This is another post-commentated game, so I'll be looking to give a bit of insight into my thinking and my thought process and decision making as the game plays out. So we are going second here in this game, so we're going to jump in and take a look and see what we've got in our starting hand. And you'll see it's not an especially good one. We don't have really many options for either the forest or the wetlands, kind of bogged down with grassland birds that you don't really want in the starting hand. But we do at least have one wetland bird here in white-faced ibis, which is potentially going to have to be something that we settle for here. Obviously not a great brown power, but it is at least something to get down in the wetlands. And with the starting nectar, what could have been a tricky food cost is otherwise a little bit more straightforward. But not really anything else too much worth keeping. I mean, got a little look at the bonus cards. So we do have Food Web Expert, which maybe makes something like the White-throated Swift an option, but I always find that kind of bird, you kind of need good card access to support being able to get the most out of that sort of brown power. So we may well look at Food Web anyway, because Uologist, very notoriously difficult to hit on Oceania boards. Such a difference from the base boards, where that was basically guaranteed 6 points, and now it's a struggle sometimes even to hit the lower bound on that. So I think we will be looking more towards Food Web here, but kind of see not really sure what else to keep here. Not really sure what else to do, because the tray itself isn't really that good either. I mean, I do have the Eleanor's Falcon, which is maybe slightly better than the Ibis, but obviously that then takes a turn to pick it up and then play it, whereas I can just get the Ibis down straight away on this first turn, start drawing, and that is certainly a bit more appealing to me. We do have this Pesket's Parrot in the tray as well, which, is basically the only good forest brown power that we can see, but definitely a tricky one to work with. And again, if I'm going to be spending my nectar getting the Ibis down, that becomes a little bit more difficult to play. So you see, we're kind of looking at this Black-shouldered Kite, and we are actually going to keep that here. So this is kind of maybe a little bit of a gambit here, a little bit of a balance in the starting hand. Just thinking, actually, if we're going to need to gamble and maybe get some eggs from somewhere, something like this Kite can actually work. Obviously, a bit of nectar in the feeder, which maybe we might be able to get our hands on later. We'll have to wait and see. But opponent opens with a very nice forest bird, white-backed woodpecker there. So I wasn't too happy to see that. That's exactly the kind of bird you look for, and definitely helping for these end of round goals, especially these first two. So definitely gives a bit of a leg up there, but nothing we can do about that. We're just going to go ahead and play our Ibis and start drawing some cards, because that's all really we can do in this early game, and just hope. We're looking for cheap forest brown powers. We're not really finding them, but we are finding some interesting options. So this black-red start, that could definitely be a bit of a lifesaver in these Oceania games, getting hold of some extra eggs, obviously, at the end of the round. And as I said, eggs can be very, very challenging to get hold of, so that is potentially a nice option. But for now, we're just going to keep digging, and we're going to find more forest birds, but more non-brown power. So to join the Cassin's Finch that we picked up on our first turn drawing, we've now got another bonus card bird in the Cerulean Warbler, and then another Warbler in the Blue-winged Warbler. So kind of just getting the big pointers, and not really getting the sort of brown powers we're looking for, but certainly stuff to work with. So you'll see I'm kind of settling here. I'm sort of settling for what I've drawn. Could definitely have kept on digging, kept on going off the top of the deck, but I think there's only so many times you can do that, and especially with a wetlands like this, where I'm only seeing 2 cards a turn, it's a very low chance that you're going to find something good. And I could sort of see a path here where actually I could take food there. We ditch the Kite very early, because I think the eggs, if we are going to go with the red star, the eggs are pretty much sorted there. But now we can play the Warbler. Get a bonus card, and we actually get a pretty good one here. Prairie Manager works very nicely with the red start, so obviously was already planning on playing that, but certainly helps get towards that bonus card. And just need 2 birds, get 3 points. I think that's a pretty solid aim. And with 3 turns left, we can now just take food a couple of times. We can get the red start down. And I think it's key to get that down round 1. Not just for the tempo, getting the egg, helping potentially save a turn there, but also with this end of round goal with the star nest, it's going to help. And, you know, there's a world here, unless my opponent plays another cavity nest, there's a world in which we can get a tie. And that's worth 4 extra points in this early game. Obviously taking points off my opponent, but gaining them back myself as well. So that is definitely appealing. And obviously we see the collared dove has gone down. So not a cavity nest, we are safe. And yeah, this red start's going to be a good play. So it's a bit of a strange early game, bit of a slow one. We're not really getting the strong brown powers. We're not really getting good food access or good card access, but we have at least got some options to work with. And yeah, this red start going straight down, very nice. And as I say, just going to help out a little bit, get us going with a few eggs. Obviously just the 1 in this first round, but hopefully as we go into the next round, we can really look at targeting, getting some more of these birds down, getting some more eggs. And yeah, really shouldn't have to be laying eggs too many times in this game. So here we go into round 2. We're going first in this round, and was kind of hoping for a slightly better trade, but to be honest, there are some workable options here. So honey buzzards has got a bit of good synergy with the food works, but of course getting some extra worms. I mean, we've got the blue-winged warbler, so we're going to need some worms somewhere. And looking at this end of round goal as well, where we're looking to play birds in the forest, and that's definitely a nice option to get down. And the wild food cost helps as well in this sort of world where, you know, we're sort of lumbered with food that we're not really enjoying, with the fish and the rat not really helpful for the other birds that we're drawing. But yeah, might be able to get that down. And beyond that, we're also getting some food where expert birds coming up. So you see we've got the swallow and the sandpiper. Those are both nice options. Ibis finally gets a hit, so been a long time coming. I think that's the 4th turn drawing cards, and it did finally get something there, so we're getting a bit of a return. But yeah, we're sort of just having to work with what's coming off the top of the deck and what's being revealed in the tray. And sometimes you have these kind of games like this where you don't have the strong card access, and you can't just keep digging and digging and digging because you're just losing turns and you're not really giving yourself time to do anything else productive, and you've just got to sort of settle for what you're drawing. And as I say, certainly feels at this stage of the game like that's what we're doing. So we do take food. Again, it's a little bit more food that we don't want, but we do actually get a nectar on the reroll. That's going to be helpful. So 4 turns left. Again, as with round 1, sort of got to this halfway mark of the round and then came up with a plan and thought, right, okay, now I can see a path, or actually we can target this end of round goal again, get the honey buzzard down. Again, with the teal power, want to try and give ourselves as many activations of that as possible. And with all these food works for birds in hand, getting those extra worms throughout the game, definitely going to be helpful. So yeah, 3 turns left now. Again, pretty straightforward. Hopefully these few turns we'll take food once, we'll lay eggs, and then we'll play another bird in the forest. And yeah, I hope to try and win this end of round goal, because I say it time and time again, but when you have games like this where you're sort of not really sure what to do, or you know, you're not really finding loads of strong birds, sometimes just making sure you can pick up the points that you know are on offer in end of round goals, and of course with your bonus cards, that could definitely be a nice option to have. So do want to throw a card here just to make sure we're getting the extra food. So we are going to sacrifice the swallow. I think that could have potentially been quite a nice one, and definitely one I would have liked to keep my hands on. Maybe a nice play at the end of the game, especially with the red start. I think, you know, you want to try and fill up at least one habitat, come to that final round so you can get your 5 eggs in that habitat. And of course that's good synergy with the swallow getting those extra tuck cards. But something had to go, and I think of the 5 cards in hand, that was definitely the weakest one. And yeah, that just allows me to get the extra food, and yeah, we're going to look to get down. Most likely the blue-winged warbler. I mean, we could potentially look at going for the finch and force it down, but I think again this is just a little bit of planning ahead, a little bit of thinking ahead to next round, and thinking, actually, okay, if we play the blue-winged warbler, we just need 1 worm off the buzzard and we can get down that double play, play the great preparing into the sandpiper in our wetlands. And that's just such an upgrade in this wetlands where we've sort of been struggling, as I say, with just this ibis. To suddenly unlock extra card draw going into that next round is going to be really, really nice for us. And yeah, we're going to be able to play those with the eggs as well that we're going to get off this red start. So that's going to be nice, just build that out. And points are on the board, so we're sort of, again, not really building out any sort of engine, no real good brown powers, but we're getting points on the board, and that's what wins games at Wingspan, is getting those points down. So that's very nice. And yeah, we're going to get, as I say, a couple of teal powers here in the honey buzzard and the red start, and that is hopefully going to help us out here. So we'll come onto the honey buzzard with the reroll 3 worms. Really, really nice. That is a big positive at this stage of the game to get a nice haul like that, because our forest isn't that good. You'll see that even throwing a card here, we're actually only getting 3 food. So to get 3 like that off the honey buzzard, it's basically saved us a turn with that kind of activation. So really, really nice. That is going to be super strong for us. And we're in the end of round goal because opponent only got 2 birds down, so that was super nice being able to do the honey buzzard and the warbler, get a few extra points off the end of round goal. So we come into round 3, and yeah, that would have been quite a nice trade for us there, with the bluebird hitting the prairie manager and of course the swallow hitting food with expert. Opponent goes and snaffles those up before we get any say in the matter. But yeah, a bit of a shame, but as I say, thanks to honey buzzard doing its job, we are going to be able to do this double play. So Heron down into Sandpiper. But there's a little bit of thinking to do here because my opponent does have this bitten, and I was kind of thinking to myself here, you know, do I really want to commit and do this double play now and suddenly allow them to use the bitten? Because you might notice they actually hadn't used it at all in the early game when we both had 1 wetland bird down. If they chose to activate it, we'd both be getting cards, but a little bit defensive there from my opponent. And then obviously since the ringbill gull went down, you don't want to be activating that and only giving me cards. But yeah, now of course having done that double play, we now give the advantage back to them in that sense. So it was something to think about, but as I say, I think just getting these birds down, super nice for our wetlands, just unlocking extra cards, and something to think about with this end of round goal as well, where we're looking to play birds, we're looking to try and score points there as well. So yeah, always worth, as I say, thinking about that as well. So now we've got the wetlands going, we can go back and start drawing some cards, and maybe slightly surprisingly, I'm going to pick up this Montague's Harrier now. I'm kind of just thinking, this is a bit of a backup. This is a bit of a plan B if I need something for Prairie Manager to try and max it out. Actually could work out as a nice play. What could be an even better play is that Common Swift that's just popped up in the trade, because that hits both bonus cards, and it's just a single food, 5 points. And we're going to get left it here. It's still in the tray. Kind of makes sense. Not really one my opponent wants. They've already got the Collared Dove. But it's got really good synergy with the Honey Buzzard as well, of course, getting the worms and then potentially being able to tuck those on the Swift. So yeah, that's kind of the dream bird that could possibly come up for me here in this situation to yeah, work with what I'm already doing and hit my bonus cards as well. So we're definitely going to go ahead and grab that. And we're just going to keep going off the top of the deck as well. I'm not really finding too much interesting. Do get Snow Bunting, which could potentially be something. I mean, of course, my opponent is tucking a little bit in the wetlands. They did pick up that Violet Green Swallow as well, which, you know, I might just have to wait and see on that. Might just have to be a little bit patient and see if that goes down. You know, if it does, where is it going to go? Which habitat? I'd sort of anticipate maybe the Grasslands, at which point this Bronze Cuckoo as well. Again, another Fudo Expert bird in our hand, potentially becomes something of interest. But with these kind of situations, I sometimes like to wait and just sort of suss out and see what my opponent's doing. And I'm very glad I did that here, because Police Woodpecker goes down, so not going to see any egg laying in the Grasslands here. But we might get a free egg as well. So this is kind of playing into my mind a little bit with this end of round goal now, because, you know, I really want to be getting another bird in this forest. I'm sort of thinking to play that Cass's Finch. Want to get 4 birds so I can get the extra egg off the Black Red Start. But I've only got 2 eggs, so, you know, I wouldn't be able to do that and then play another bird for the end of round. And I do kind of want to get this Common Swift down this round. That's kind of important with the teal power again to work well with the Honey Buzzard. But there's a lot of management to do here, and Prairie Chickens come up in the tray as well. That's another one I'm definitely looking at. I'm thinking to myself, is it worth spending a turn here to draw that? Is that going to sacrifice the end of round goal? Do I actually need to draw cards again? And if I do I want it to be now, or do I want to wait until final round, of course, when I'm going to be going first in that round? So lots of things on my mind here, trying to weigh up different options and yeah, manage competing priorities. And I feel like so much of going through the mid game into the late game here in these sort of games is so much about managing between your different competing priorities. So as I say, sort of trying to suss out as well what my opponent's going to do. Playing Polite Woodpecker kind of signals to me maybe they're going to go and take food and give me a free egg, which would really help me go and get these birds down. Of course, however, with that free reroll on the bird feeder, looked very tempting. We went for it. I was hoping for a bit more nectar, but we did at least get nectar and seed and another worm for good measure. So yeah, we're sort of lining up here to go play the Cassin's Finch with that food we picked up. So just get another forest bird, build that out, maybe help ourselves get a little bit more food in that final round. And obviously now with Common Swift potentially going down at some point, we know every little bit of food could potentially be a point. But also, of course, Cassin's Finch is going to give us another bonus card. So we've already picked up a couple of good ones. Definitely hoping for another here. So opponent plays another bird in the Night Heron. So it looks like we are probably going to be tying this end of round goal at 2 birds apiece, because we're going to go ahead and play our Cassin's Finch. And unless my opponent takes food and chooses to use the Woodpecker and gives us a free egg, in which case, of course, we will be able to get this Common Swift down a little bit earlier, it is going to be a tie. So play the Finch. Real shame on the bonus card. Breeding Manager and Citizen Scientist, probably 2 of the worst bonus cards you could have ever possibly hoped to draw. So I don't think we're going to be scoring points off either of those. We'll take Breeding Manager because there's every chance. I mean, the Red Star has got 4 egg spaces. Whether we're actually going to be able to fill those is a very, very different question. But yeah, no eggs on either side. So as I say, it's a slim possibility, and I'm sort of aware of it and keeping myself available to play if I need to. But my opponent goes and draws cards, and actually this time they do use the Bittern, but I think we're probably good for cards. So Mississippi Kite, not really of interest here for us. So yeah, a bit of a strange turn. Not really sure what else we could do here. As I say, don't really want to draw cards. I want to wait until next round, so we kind of have to take food, which yeah is a bit of a shame, because now all the nectar comes up right when we unfortunately can't take it. But it's still worth drawing. It's still worth, you know, grabbing a couple of worms, and maybe some of that extra food could be useful for playing other birds in this final round. So come onto Teals again. Very nice 4 eggs off the Red Star, and just the 1 worm off the Honey Buzzard there, but it is still scoring points. And yeah, we do tie on that end of round goal there as well. So into the final round. That is not the tray that you want to see, and this is the point where I'm trying to just work out what does my in-game look like. So I know I'm going to play the Swift. What else am I going to do? What else is actually worth playing in this hand? I don't think there is anything worth playing. So beyond that, I'd just be laying eggs. I might take food once, but I've actually already got all the worms I need for the Swift. So we're going to go ahead and draw cards, and we're going to spend a food to reset the tray. Hope that we get something better. Indeed we do. Red Knot. Lovely bird to come up here. Hitting food works, but again, so we're going to score really high on that bonus card. Definitely glad I kept that over Oologist at the start. We do also have this cowbird now, again, hitting Prairie Manager. Sort of a possibility, but you know, if you're having to play a cowbird and a Montague's Harrier just to score on Prairie Manager, it's probably not worth it. I think there are probably better things to be doing. So we leave that and we skip Sandpiper as well. I don't want to be giving out an extra card here when I've got enough that I can work with. It's not great stuff, but it's enough to work with. I don't want to give my opponent something else that might potentially help them. So they do go and take food, give us an egg, and give us a pretty nice bird feeder to go and take food from. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and grab the 2 nectars. We're going to reroll and grab 2 more. So this is big. This is very important at this stage of the game to be getting that much nectar, because you know, we're winning the forest, but we're behind in the other 2 habitats, and potentially with a big Red Knot play that could swing the nectar. You see my opponent's only got 3 spent in the wetlands, so there is an option here for us to swing and get a big load of points. And again, with the food cost to play birds, this end of round goal, also a little bit of mind games there, a little bit of planning and thinking, and you know, how much food have I got to spend on these birds? Which birds can I spend that have the right food cost to make sure I'm hitting points there? Definitely lots of options here, but yeah, we're going to go... I think red knot pretty straightforwardly. See the bonus card, I mean, it's what my opponent's doing here. You'll see bluebird into pro chicken. Very nice double play. It's the kind of double play I would have loved to be able to done here with Prairie Manager, of course, but yeah, not to be in this game, but super helpful for them on the bonus card and the end of round. So very, very nice play. But I say we're going to follow up with our red knot, spin the nectar, take the lead in the wetlands here, and hope for a good bonus card. What's it going to be? Platform builder for 4. I will take that for 1 bonus card draw. Definitely do a better job than the Cassin's Finch. And yeah, we're going to draw 3 birds. And we'll see, because there's every chance something comes up that we might want to play here. Unlikely, but of course, you know, you've got to roll the dice sometimes. And we could, you know, take some of that stuff from the tray, as I said, maybe the cowbird, but I think that ship has sailed. So I'm just sort of going through my hand, just sort of like sussing out what could potentially be played here, because we're sort of maybe going to find ourselves in the same problem as we had in round 3, where we're going to come to the last turn of the round and not really have much to do. So we do go off the deck again, and oyster catchers, another food web bird. So we're getting loads of these coming up, and again, that could potentially be something we look at playing. So it's a dead heat on the end of round goal, and we've got 2 turns left, and our opponent's got 3. So yeah, it's interesting times. We're really gonna have to make sure we try maxing what we can out of these 2 turns. But Common Swift, 100% that goes down, no brainer. As I said, it's got to score loads of points on our bonus cards. We've got all of these worms stocked up as well. It's just a case of working out what do we do? What do we do with that last turn of the game? And oyster catcher is definitely appealing. It's definitely catching my eye as that simple play. You know, we get the 5 points. We get the points from the Fubo Expert. We've also got to think about our red start. So another bird in either the wetlands or the forest is going to be an extra egg. So something to think about, something to bear in mind. And just with that in mind, and just with this nectar in mind as well, I'm going to spend a worm here on the Swift. Because in the grasslands, you might have seen we're well behind. I think with the double play my opponent did, and of course with the collared dove, discarding nectar in the grasslands, we were so far behind that, yeah, I had no chance there of being able to compete. But it is very, very close on this end of round goal. So you see, we're just ahead by 1 food. And my opponent here plays Noisy Miner, so a bit of a strange one at this stage of the game, but definitely queuing up a nice food gaining turn to hit the collar dove. And this is where we go in, we calculate, we count through all of our birds. And see, I nearly rushed into this, nearly just went ahead and played the oyster catcher. You know, in my head, I just thought, easy play, take the Fubo Expert points. But then we take a step back and we think to ourselves, actually, what else is there? What could we do that's slightly better than the oyster catcher? You know, my opponent's not going to play another bird. What can we do for this end of round goal? We're 2 food costs behind. So potentially playing a 3 food cost bird puts us in the lead. And it's going to earn us some extra points. And it's where our good friend Yellow-Breasted Chat comes to the rescue here, because not only is it going to help us on this end of round, but because that Noisy Miner play actually tied the Forest Nectar, spending another Nectar in the forest is going to flip that into our favour once again. So, yeah, as good of a play as oyster catcher would have been, Yellow-Breasted Chat is going to slightly edge it out here. And again, as I said, playing another bird up in that forest, we're going to get the extra egg off the red start. We've been a little bit careful, made sure to spend our eggs off the right places. But yeah, I'm just sort of triple checking, because I almost couldn't believe it at this point when, you know, I looked through and I thought to myself, really? Is Yellow-Breasted Chat the best play? But as I say, just counting through, checking on my opponent, making sure the nectar, I'm, you know, seeing things correctly, and end of round goals and everything. And yeah, there is maybe a little bit to think about as well. We're obviously spending the worms. We can do a bit of overpaying. We are going to be dropping down to 4 worms if we do play the chat, but we've got Honey Buzzard. We've got every chance of getting another one back. But there we go. Yellow-Breasted Chat is indeed going to go down here. So yeah, very, very strange play. But as I said, It swings the end of round goal, so that's a 6-point swing, and it swings the nectar. That's a 9-point swing in total. 6 and 3, and then obviously all the points for playing the bird, the points for the red star as well. Somehow this ended up being a double-digit play from a yellow-breasted chat on the final turn, so yeah, kind of unbelievable, but just goes to show sometimes you've got to look for the unconventional, make sure you've checked every option in your hands, because sometimes there might be a slightly unexpected one that's going to come through and help score you some points. So we're going to get a couple of free eggs here, one off Pleated Woodpecker, one off the Noisy Mellow. It doesn't really matter where they go as long as I keep them out of the forest, because of course that's where I'm going to be using my red start when it comes on to the teal powers, which is right about now. So we're going to do Honey Buzzard first of all. Very nice. Understood the assignment, got the worms that we needed to go on that swift. So 10 points on the teals, very, very nice. And yeah, just about edging out that end of round goal. Also very, very nice. So pretty close on the nectars, but we really spent effectively because we got absolutely demolished in the grasses, but we just about edged it in the other two habitats. And even though we spent the least nectar, we came out on top with the most points. So careful management there. It's going to get us a few points, and we'll see what difference that makes in the final scores here. So yeah, we know we played quite a few birds, some low points, some high points, all balanced out there, but decent bonus cards and decent on the end of round goals as well. So going to hold a bit of a lead here. Obviously egg's not great, but slightly better than our opponent. They will drag it back through some tuck cards, but we're safe knowing that we're winning the nectar, and that does get us over the line here for a win. Pretty comfortable margin in the end, 115 to 95, and that was a bit of a surprising score, I will say. Didn't expect 115 points, kind of looking back at this board, because yeah, it's all a bit all over the place. There's no real engine anywhere. You know, we didn't barely get any good brown powers. Probably the Sandpiper is our best brown power. That didn't go down, I think, until round 3. So a little bit unlucky on the bonus cards. My opponent missing out on Mechanical Engineer. You never like to see that. But we had some decent balance, I think, through our own bonus cards. Obviously, Food Works, but really carrying. But we managed to score points all throughout there. And yeah, Common Swift coming in clutch there with the late tucks, with the late teal activations. Very, very nice. So yeah, as I say, slightly strange game and a slightly unconventional start, but just goes to show that even if you don't get the great brown powers, you can still make something work and get a win in the bag, as we've done here today. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and if you want to see more games, do hit subscribe, make sure you follow along, and I look forward to seeing you in another game very soon.